Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. My guest expert today, Jim Patton, is going to share with you the financial challenges that are unique to women in retirement. And as a woman, I am very interested in this because I do know that we have certain challenges that men don't tend to struggle with. So Jim's a financial advisor for the last 36 years. He's the author of Don't Make Me Say I Told You So, the author of the soon-to-be released Those 7 Extra Years, A Guide to Investing for Retirement for Women. Jim, great to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lorna.
Why do women need to be concerned more about their retirement? Like, what are our challenges, or, what's the concern?
Well, like everything else, it's more complicated for women than it is for men. The big issue is that women live longer than men.
Yeah.
So when you're retiring, it's like planning a vacation, but the only challenge is you don't know how long you're going to be gone. And it used to be 30, 40 years ago, you were retired at 65, you lived 7 or 8 years, and it wasn't hard to make that money last for that period of time. Now People retire at 60, they might live to be 90 or 95. Women live longer, so that means more years that they have to make their money last.
Yeah.
And typically in those final years of life, the medical expenses are much higher than at any other time. So living longer is the number one issue, but there are quite a few others.
And I know as well you shared something, and I can personally relate to right now. Like, you end up on part-time work, you have 2 kids at home, you're not earning the same income. Like, that's exactly where I'm at right now.
That is issue number 2, is that we know there's always been a gender pay gap over time. And today it's estimated that women earn about 80 cents for each dollar that a man earns doing the same job. So this results in lower earnings. And it's estimated that for women over 50, that loss of earnings can total $325,000 over their lifetime, which is a huge amount of money.
Huge.
It also, that lower income results in lower contributions to retirement savings.
Yeah.
Because you don't have enough extra income to set aside. And if a man saves 10% of his income for retirement, a woman has to save 18% to reach the same level of wealth at retirement. So the gender pay gap is a big one for women. As you touched on, raising children and so forth, that's another thing that women deal with. Many women have taken time out of the workforce to raise children. Yeah. And that time out of the workforce means less earnings, less contributions to retirement plans, and so forth. And now women are taking time out of the workforce to care for aging parents. And for some reason, this always seems to fall to the women to handle mom and dad, but that's more time out of the workforce, again, resulting in lower income, lower earnings, and lower contributions to retirement plans. And as I said earlier, it's over $300,000 in lost career earnings for women.
So, Jimmy, now that you've depressed us,
there are solutions.
What are the solutions? No, but I'm joking with you, but it's a real reality, and it's no joke that, like, women do live longer, and women, a lot of women, I'm in the position myself. I have 2 small kids and I'm out of the workforce. and it's kind of scary. I am building my retirement, but I'm not on the same income as my husband, and doing it together, whatever. But it's something women, I think, don't really realize how that can be. Like, I'll share my parents' situation. My father left my mother. There was no money, and my mother had nothing. But luckily, through a turn of events, she's okay now. But it really woke me up to I could be in that position.
It can happen to anyone.
Anyone, yeah.
Yeah, it's. And, you said, oh, thanks for all the grim news, but you're really better off knowing.
Yes.
Because at least it gives you a chance to make a plan.
Yes.
If you know that your house is going to catch fire, you can come up with an escape plan. And for women, unfortunately, it takes a little bit more planning than it does for men. But, on top of those other things, you said your father left your mother. Your father, had higher career earnings and so forth.
No, my father died. He was obsessed about money, and he took care of the money. And my mother, worked at home, and we always thought he had done well because he obsessed about it so much. But it was during the crash. And he ended up with very little, and my mother ended up, and I think he did something with the house where my mom would have to continue to pay the mortgage and stuff. So things were not in place basically, and my mother found herself with nothing. But an uncle of mine passed away, and through that she got an income. But if that hadn't happened, I don't know where she'd be.
Well, this is, I think, a generational thing. But my older clients who retired 20, 25, 30 years ago, they were the World War II generation. Yeah. And in those households, the men, by and large, controlled the money. Yeah. And made the investments and dealt with the house things. That's changing very rapidly. Yeah. But again, if women are raising their kids, they're raising a husband, they're taking care of the house, they've got a career, it's a lot to ask them to take care of the finance as well. So, as you know, in a marriage or relationship, there's traditionally split roles. Yeah. And the role of managing money has fallen to men. And so a lot of women are less versed than they should be or need to be.
Yeah. So what are the solutions, Jim?
Well,
how do we fix this?
So, the issue is you're going to live longer than you think. Yeah. Because you're going to live longer than you think, you're going to need more money than you think you need. And, I have clients that are now 90, 95 years old. And you ask them when they were 60 how long they would live, no one's going to say I'm going to live to be 90 or 95. But here they are. If you have a pension that you received 30 years ago and it hasn't increased with inflation, you're living on that same income. Yeah. So again, this is magnified for women. You're going to need more money than you think you're going to need because women live 7 extra years, 5, 6, 7, depending on the study. You're going to have 5, 6, or 7 years of extra income. You're going to have to cover medical expenses at the end of life. So, it sounds bad, but you got to come up with a plan. Anything. Just sit down with a piece of paper and a pen. I have a very wealthy client who didn't have a will. And I said several times, you have to have a will. You have to do that. And I said, just take a piece of paper and a pencil and write down your current situation and sign it. and he didn't do it, I ended up going to Staples, the office supply store, and getting him Willmaker software. But you have to come up with a plan. And there's an old saying, don't let the perfect get in the way of the good. So don't say, oh, I don't have this, I don't know that. Just start with a plan. And that will give you a clear picture of where you are today. What do you have in the way of assets? When do you plan to retire? How much do you think you'll need in retirement, and so forth. You want to be mindful that as a woman, you will probably take time out of the workforce to raise children or to care for aging parents, or both. And you've got to say, all right, these will both result in a loss of income and a loss of retirement savings. One of the solutions is that you can work longer. And the more years that you have income is fewer years that you're driving or drawing down your retirement savings. You could also consider working part-time in retirement. If you're married, you need to think about a couple of things. In married couples, typically the man is going to go first. And about 70% of men over 65 are married, compared with 43% of women. So what that means is if one spouse passes away, and again, it will, the vast majority of the time, be the husband that passes away first, you're going to lose whatever pension he might have had, Social Security, or other income specifically that was specifically his. So to offset that, you might consider life insurance, where you could buy life insurance on your spouse or partner. When they pass away, you're going to get a lump sum of money, which could help you provide income over those years. Another thing that's a huge threat to retirees and particularly women, because of their longer lifespans, is long-term care insurance. Now, I don't have international clients, so I'm speaking specifically about the U.S. So you can buy insurance to cover you if your spouse had to go into a nursing facility, because that can be very expensive. Know how to maximize your Social Security benefits. So you're going to get government retirement benefits. There's a complicated system, and there's a maximum way, or a optimal way, I should say, the best way to take those benefits. And it's boring and it's complex, but you need to figure out what the best way for your situation is. So, and the last thing is, and what I do is manage investments for people and say, tell me where you are now. Tell me where you need to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And I'm going to say, here's how you should invest your money. If you're a woman, because you have to have more money, you have to invest for growth. And what that means is putting money into stocks and things that will grow in value over time. So you can make a plan and do it. It's going to be more difficult for women, but you're better off knowing today and starting. And, there's an old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So
what about if someone's listening to this? Because, some women are, in their later years and they're listening to this and they're like, I don't have a plan. Is it too late?
No, it's never too late for a plan. Going into whatever situation, you're always better off formulating some kind of a plan.
Yeah.
And some people, my brother, I'll call him, he just kind of whistles past the graveyard and pretends everything's going to be great. And I say, look, you're better off, whether it's money or personal life, coming up with some kind of a plan. So no, it's never too late to plan, and always better to have a plan than just wing it.
Okay, and say we're aware of this and we're, I don't know, in our 30s or 40s, right? So we have a little bit of time to make a plan, okay? So we're going to do growth investing, diverse portfolio, yeah.
Right.
And I suppose it depends on the person's values or what they want, whether it's real estate or EFTs or whatever. But it's about knowing what you need, what your net worth needs to be.
Right.
Correct. Time in the market, your rate of return. So having, knowing this now and setting a plan and getting that money working for you, and knowing the years, roughly. So you're saying roughly that women are living 20 or 30 years?
5 to 7 years longer than men.
Longer than men. And what's the average age that people die at today? Sorry to be so.
Oh, you know what? I think it's 78, I think, is life expectancy at birth. But you can't go by that. You can't retire and say, I'm going to retire at 65. Therefore, I only need to plan for 13 years.
Yeah, that's and that's a long time to plan for if you've no plan.
And 18 years or 23 years is even longer. You just have to plan to be 95. That's a reasonable assumption. The fastest growing age group in the United States is people over 100. And, again, people don't think it's going to happen, but because of advances in health awareness and medicine, it's happening. The place you want to start is this. When do I want to retire, and how much income do I need? Then you sit down and say, what income will I have for sure? I'll have my pension. That's guaranteed for life. In the United States, you'll have Social Security. That's guaranteed for life. What is my shortfall? What is my gap that I have to fill in the income? And then what do I need to do to accumulate that amount of money, which I can turn into income in retirement to fill that gap? Now, no plan is perfect. And, if you retired in 2007 and invested your money wisely, boy, your plan was much different a year later. So you've got to realize this is not carved in stone. You've got to roll with the punches year by year because we just don't know what's going to happen in the future.
So so for example, Jim, your wife or your daughter, what's your advice to them?
Well, in my family, I handle the money for obvious reasons, but my wife is very in tune with it. And, we've sat down and said, all right, here's what we're going to do. Here's how much you're going to need for retirement. Here's how much we're accumulating. I'm 61 and I've got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, if you can imagine that. So we're saving for college. So we've said, here's how much we're going to need for college. And we're setting that aside. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, my income is lost. And so we have life insurance. Yeah. I don't sell a lot of life insurance. I'm licensed to, but I've done, I think, one.
No, but you're protecting yourself. You have
But I'm protecting myself. My wife is senior director of administration for the largest law firm in the world. She makes a substantial income. So we have life insurance on her because if her income was lost, that gives me a lump sum of money to work from. Yeah. So, my advice, whether it's your spouse, your kids, whoever, get them thinking about money. And, I don't sit down with my sons and say, hey, listen, I've got bad news for you. Things are expensive and it's getting worse. I say, look, here's how to put money away. Here's how to save money. Here's how you invest it. And, have them come up with some kind of a plan. So that's, you've got to have a plan in place. And again, it doesn't have to be a sophisticated Excel spreadsheet, flow chart, estate plan. Just start with anything. Take a piece of paper and a pen and start writing some kind of a plan. Assessing what you've got now is number one.
Yes. So, Jim, we've had an amazing conversation. I think it's a real eye-opener for women listening to this, or anyone listening to this who's concerned about their wife or daughters or, so forth. What's that kind of, what's the message you want to leave them with?
Well, I would say if you're a husband and you've got a wife and daughters, number one, bring your wife into the conversation. Yeah. And again, it was a generational thing. It's changing, but you just have to know. You have to sit down and have a conversation. What do we have now? How much is our home worth? How much do we have on the mortgage? What investments do we have? Where is the paperwork? If you got hit by a bus today, where is the paperwork that I need to have access to do these things? Is there life insurance? If so, I want to know, I need to know where those papers are. I saw a story on 60 Minutes several months ago. Insurance companies have billions and billions and billions of dollars where people paid for life insurance, they died, and the beneficiaries didn't know. And so that money's never been claimed.
Wow.
So, you have to know where all these documents are. And, it doesn't have to be a grim conversation. Just let's talk about this as a family and make sure we're all on track.
Yeah. So it's a biggie. So, Jim, for anyone who wants to get in contact with you, where do they go?
You can go to my website. My website is chaseparkfinancial.com. chaseparkfinancial.com. Or you can reach us at contactus@chaseparkfinancial.com.
And Jim, you've an ebook. It is released or is soon to be released?
I have my first book, very immodestly titled "Don't Make Me Say I Told You So," is on Amazon. I've just updated all the data, so I wouldn't get it now. I would wait a month because it'll be re-released with all updated data. And then I have a book specifically for women addressing a lot of the issues we've discussed today, called Those 7 Extra Years, which teach you or inform you about the things we've discussed today. Because again, for women, unfortunately, it is more complicated. So that will be out by the end of September. And if you send me your email address, I'll let you know when you can download it for free. When I release my books, I always make them free for 1 week on Amazon. I'll keep you up to date with that.
Yeah, Jim, I'll even get it myself. So I will contact you after this. But no, this has been huge. I think this is such an important topic. And
well, Lorna, let me just say, I have been in this industry for 36 years. I'm a relatively bright guy. I know a lot about money. I listen to your podcast all the time. It is terrific.
Thank you.
The information is terrific. It's always changing. I love your podcast.
Thank you, Jim. That's lovely to hear because you can do these things and not always get the feedback. So thank you very much for that because, and I think that I can't wait to share this because it's just massive for women. Massive.
You're right.
So thank you. Take care.
Okay. Thanks very much, Lorna. So long.
Hey everyone, remember to join us in the Private Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. This is a safe haven of like-minded wealth-getting go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate. I can give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing your wealth mindset and creating your financial freedom life. Join at